Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Look, the Toronto Blue Jays are absolutely going insane right now, and nobody's talking about it enough. While everyone's been focused on the Yankees and Dodgers doing their usual thing, the Blue Jays have quietly turned into the biggest spenders in baseball. We're talking $337 million already committed this offseason. That's not a typo. $337 million. But here's where it gets wild. That number? It's about to get a whole lot bigger. Kyle Tucker, the best hitter still available on the free agent market, is probably heading to Toronto. And when he signs, we're looking at the Blue Jays crossing over $1 billion in total commitments from this season and offseason combined. $1 billion. For a Canadian baseball team that most casual fans forget exists half the time. Let's break down what's actually happening here because this is genuinely unprecedented. The Blue Jays have signed 4 of the 15 free agents who've gotten deals worth at least $30 million. That's 27% of the biggest contracts in baseball, all going to one team. And we haven't even counted Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s extension yet. That's another $500 million over 14 years that the Blue Jays locked up back in April. Vladdy's deal alone would be franchise-altering for most teams. For Toronto, it's just the appetizer. Then there's Shane Bieber. The 30-year-old pitcher surprised everyone by opting into his player option, effectively giving himself a 1-year, $16 million deal with Toronto. Most people expected him to test free agency, but he saw something in Toronto that made him want to stay. That should tell you something about where this organization is headed. So right now, before Kyle Tucker even puts pen to paper, the Blue Jays are sitting at $853 million committed. That's already more than most teams spend in a decade. But Toronto's not done, not even close. Kyle Tucker is the crown jewel of this free agent class. The guy's a former 4-time All-Star who spent his entire career with the Houston Astros and Chicago Cubs. He's 29 years old, right in his prime, and he's the kind of player who can change a lineup overnight. Earlier predictions had him going to the Yankees for $360 million over 10 years. Some analysts thought he'd get as high as $418 million over 11 years. SpotRack had him pegged at $401.7 million over a decade. But here's the thing. Tucker's situation is weird. He's technically the #1 free agent available, but nobody's treating him like it. The Cubs, his most recent team, were never serious about bringing him back. The Phillies and Yankees both seem to view him as a backup plan if they couldn't re-sign their own stars. So Tucker's been sitting out there, this elite talent, and the market's been softer than anyone expected. Enter the Blue Jays. They're the only team that Tucker has actually visited in person. He flew down to their spring training facility in Florida back in early December. That's not nothing. When a player takes the time to meet with a team face-to-face, especially when other teams are barely showing interest, it usually means something's cooking. Tim Kelly from Bleacher Report just dropped a new prediction, and it's a bombshell. He's now saying Tucker signs with Toronto for $288 million over 8 years. That's $36 million per season. Now, that's actually less than earlier projections, but here's why it makes sense. With so few teams seriously pursuing him, Tucker's leverage isn't what it should be for a player of his caliber. The Blue Jays know this. They're not competing against the Yankees or Dodgers money. They're basically negotiating with themselves. If this happens, and Kelly's got a pretty solid track record with these predictions, Tucker would immediately become the highest-paid Blue Jay on an annual basis. That's right, he'd even top Vladdy's $35.7 million per year. Toronto would have 2 players making over $35 million annually, plus Dylan Cease's new deal that puts him over $30 million. That's an absolutely stacked payroll at the top. And here's the kicker. If the Blue Jays don't sign anyone else this offseason after Tucker, they'll still have committed $1.14 billion. $1.14 billion. Let that sink in. A team that plays half its games in a stadium with a roof because it's too cold outside is outspending everyone. What's driving this? It's not just blind ambition. The Blue Jays came 2 outs away from winning the World Series last season. 2 outs. That's the kind of heartbreak that makes organizations go all in. They know they have a championship caliber core. They know their window is open right now, and they're not messing around. Vlad Guerrero is locked up through his prime years. They've got Shane Bieber anchoring the rotation. Dylan Cease gives them another ace. And if they land Tucker, they've got one of the best outfielders in baseball protecting Vladdy in the lineup. That's a legitimate World Series contender right there. The risk is obvious. We're talking about nearly $1 billion committed to just a handful of players. If any of these guys get hurt, if Vladdy regresses, if Tucker doesn't perform up to his contract, the Blue Jays are cooked. They'll be stuck in salary cap hell for years. But that's the bet they're making. They're saying we have a window right now and we're not waiting. We're going for it all. What makes this even crazier is that nobody saw it coming. The Blue Jays weren't on anyone's radar as mega spenders. Sure, they've spent money before, but nothing like this. This is Dodgers level spending. This is Yankees territory. And they're doing it while the Yankees are actually being relatively quiet this offseason. The baseball world is going to have to recalibrate how it thinks about the Blue Jays. This isn't a team trying to stay competitive. This isn't a team building for the future. This is a team that's decided their time is now, and they're backing that belief with more money than any team has ever spent in a single offseason. Kyle Tucker to Toronto for $288 million over 8 years. Mark it down. If it happens, and all signs point to yes, the Blue Jays will have officially become the biggest story in baseball. Not the Dodgers, not the Yankees. Toronto, the team that everyone forgets about until they remember that baseball exists in Canada too. They're about to remind everyone in a big way.